Yeah, you're probably going to be able to hear my cat play with her toy, so she's having a fun time.
You got me feeling a fight. You got me feeling a fight. Like how could I not think of you?
Episode 20 of The Bedside Table is here. This next set of 10 episodes, I'm really going to delve into being more vulnerable and open, and I've got a lot of important things that I want to talk about, and I'm excited to share with all of you. So for these next 10 episodes, I have a few themes. We're going to be talking about love and friendship, digital identity, and then one that I think is really going to shine some light on some things, not only for myself, but hopefully for other people. Toxic relationships. I don't think they're talked about enough. I think they can be confusing. I think a lot of feelings around a toxic relationship. It's like, what is a toxic relationship? Is this thing toxic? Is it not? Yeah, I have a lot to say for these next 10 episodes, and I'm really, really excited to be putting them out there. We're going to get raw, juicy. I really just have this pull and this urge in me to talk about things. So I'm really excited to do just that. Welcome back to The Bedside Table. I'm your host, Ellie Marie, and let's get started with episode 20. Thanks for being here. Self-worth defined. Feeling good and solid about yourself, regardless of what other people think, perceive, and feel about you. A clue of knowing when you're building self-worth is when you start to think less about pleasing other people and more about what can I do to please myself? What makes me happy? What makes me feel good? Maybe it's been a long time since you've asked yourself those questions. Maybe you've never really asked yourself those questions. What feels good to me? What would make me happy right now? And I would go to say, like, it wouldn't be surprising to think that there are people out there who, one, don't regularly ask themselves these questions, and two, maybe have rarely or never asked themselves these questions. I, myself, I would like to say, I was going to do quote unquote, but that's why it's like, I'm not sure. I would like to say former people pleaser, but I do still think some habits are there. And I think that's because it's hard to not want to please people. And even when you don't want to please people, when you reach that point of, I don't even want to do this. I don't want to be the sole pleaser for someone else, or that sounds a little funny. I just don't want to please people anymore. I don't want to be so concerned with what other people think and perceive about me. When you reach that point of not even wanting to please people anymore, I still think it's really difficult to actually get to the spot where you're not doing that anymore. Because I think a lot of us, myself included, we like validation. I love validation, and I think genuinely it's necessary. We're a social species. We're human beings. We crave connection and closeness with other people, and that in itself, I think, includes validation. We want to be affirmed by the people around us. I think the important thing to remember here, though, is that I think it depends who is validating you, who is affirming what you're doing and saying and how you're acting. Because depending on who is doing it, I think it can really make a difference. So I guess let me give an example here. Let's say you have an abusive partner, and they're the ones that you're getting your validation from, or at least the majority of your validation from. So you're being validated for your behaviors, your words, who you are, is being validated by someone who hurts you. Versus, let's say, a best friend who you've gotten to know over the years, who you both of you love each other very much and care about each other and have been there for each other and have supported each other's growth in a positive way, but without putting each other down when things go awry, as things always do. So let's say you receive validation and affirmation from someone like that. Someone who supports you, someone who cares about your happiness genuinely, someone who doesn't hurt you, at least not on purpose, or at least not continuously, someone who is able to reflect upon their actions and their words and the type of person that they are to you. So let's say you receive validation and affirmation from someone like that, compared to someone who actively hurts you on a consistent basis. And when I say abuse, it doesn't have to be physical. So I think it matters who we receive our validation from and what validation we put value on. So if you're valuing someone's opinion about you, and so let's say you value what your partner says, which is fair. You value what your partner thinks about you, which is completely fair. But maybe they're not very nice to you. I know I'm being a bit vague about it because I plan on delving into this particular subject about abusive relationships in further episodes. So I'm not going to get too deep into this today, but just keep in mind, who are you receiving your validation from? And also keep in mind the most important of all, the most important opinion about you is how you feel about you. Your opinion about yourself is inevitably what's going to determine your self-worth and whether or not it grows, whether or not you can build upon it. I believe that we are all innately, I think that's what I'm trying to say. I believe that we're all innately valuable. I think each and every one of us are valuable, and we don't need to do anything at all to be worth something. And that's probably a hard concept sometimes to accept, even for myself. I don't need to do anything to be worth something. I don't need to succeed to be worthy. I don't need to have a certain amount of money or a certain number of friends to have value. I don't have to do anything spectacular with my life for my life to have meaning. I get to make the choice every single day about myself that I am worthy. I am valuable. My life does have meaning, no matter what I choose to do with it. Now, of course, I do want to do things with my life. And I do want to succeed in my endeavors. And I do want to have blooming relationships and friendships. And I want reciprocity more than anything else other than peace. Peace within myself, which I think is an ongoing process, right? Finding inner peace is, I believe it'll be a forever thing. Because there's always something to stir you up. There's always something. But that's life. It's funny to say, it's just I love every bit of it. Even to think like the terrible things that I've went through. Well, I'm here now. And I might sound cliche saying that, like, oh, well, I wouldn't be the person I am today had I not gone through what I've gone through. But it has truth to it. Who would I be today had I not lived the life I've lived thus far? So I've developed over time an immense appreciation for just life itself and everything that it brings. It's not always easy. Life's not always easy, but it's not always easy to feel grateful. It's not always easy to have this appreciation for life. But I would rather love life for everything that it is than to despise it for the things that I don't necessarily like. There will always be things that I don't like. I can accept that. And then choose from there. Okay, there's things I don't like. There's things that I obviously don't want to have happen. There are things that I probably would rather not experience. But do I hate life because of those things? Because inevitably I'm going to experience things that I don't enjoy. I'm going to have experiences that I may not necessarily want to have. Does that mean I should hate my life? Does that mean I should hate life in general? I could. Most certainly. I have. But I would rather keep building upon and growing this appreciation for life regardless of what I go through. And I may not have control over everything I go through, but I think I don't know. Life is funny. If I sit here and say, oh, I think I have some control, I don't want that to be a challenge for life. I don't want life to be like, oh, really? You think so? I don't want that. I think what I can control is deciding whether or not to hold the gratitude that I have for life. Whether to have gratitude for life, that's in my control. Because life is just gonna be a little crazy sometimes. And I'm gonna go through the ups and downs, and I'm gonna feel a broad spectrum of emotion. But wouldn't you rather have that? And maybe you're sitting here and you're like, no, I would rather just feel good all the time, or I'd rather feel nothing at all. And I could understand. Yeah, I could understand. Because it's hard. It's hard to feel everything so much all the time. Just want to pop in here and say that my email submissions are open if you have a question that you'd like me to answer or something you'd like me to talk about for the week's corresponding theme. This upcoming week, we're going to be talking about love and friendship. If you've got a story to tell about love or friendship, like how'd you fall in love? What's the best time you've fell in love? What's the worst time you fell in love? Who's your best friend, and tell me about them, and how has that relationship shaped you and your life? How did they make your life better? Just things like that I want to hear about. My email should be in the description, but here it is as well. Yeah, send in some questions or just tell me a story about love and friendship that I can share with everyone else. Thanks. I was going to go out tonight. Oh, really? Okay, hold on, let me fix my light real quick. It's been doing that. I don't know why. Hold on. It's been doing that as of late, just like... Oh, okay. I'm not sure what's going on with it. It might just be because I have several things plugged into my nightstand right now. I have my laptop plugged in, I have my ring light plugged in, and then I also have... Actually, no, I don't think this is plugged into that. I think it's plugged into the wall. I don't know why it's been doing it. No clue. Anyway, I was gonna go out tonight. I've been going out a lot lately. I've really been partying my little heart out, but I've been having a lot of fun. I've met some new people and I've gone to some new places and I've had some fun experiences and quite a few hangovers. But I've really been having a lot of fun. But yeah, I was gonna go out tonight and I got home and I just like laid on the floor with my cat and I was just like, do I feel like going out? And I'd been feeling iffy about it. I was at work and I was excited about it. And then like I'd had moments of like being excited and I was like, I don't know. And then and like so I laid on the floor with my cat and I just kind of chilled for a little bit and I was just like setting things up like in my apartment, turning my lights and stuff on, and I was just like I kind of really just want to stay home. I was like, you know what? Let me start getting ready. Maybe I'll put myself in the mood to go out. Is basically what I was trying to do. But then I stopped and I just kind of looked at myself and I said, let's listen to our gut here and not try to convince ourselves to do something other than what we're feeling right now. Let's just go with what we're feeling. Because I'm one of those people who wants to, because I don't always get a weekend. I don't always get a weekend day, so like a Saturday or Sunday. I don't always get a Saturday or Sunday off, so when I do have a Saturday or Sunday off, I'm just like, yeah, it's my time. It's an opportunity to go party. And it is an opportunity to party, but it's also an opportunity for other things like rest and chilling. And that's genuinely what I was feeling like doing. So I like messaged my best friend and I was like, I don't really feel like going out. I kind of just want to lay in bed and like watch a movie. And I brought home this ramen bowl and I'm like, that sounds perfect. That's kind of what I want to do. I was like, you know what, I'm going to get ready and see how I feel. And then I was in front of the mirror and I was about to start doing my hair. And I was just like, I think I'm going to stay home. So I say all of that to give some context of just, if you have a feeling about something, trust it. Go with it. If you feel reluctant about something, maybe ask yourself, okay, is this really what I want? Is this really what I want to do? Or you can come at it with a different approach of, what do I want to do? I like that one. It's just like being curious with yourself. I think I talked about this in my very first episode, on one of my very first episodes. It's just having open conversations with yourself. I talk to myself all the time. All the time. I have multitudes of journals. I have a blog. And part of this is just from how I used to cope growing up. I would journal a lot, and I actually started my online journal in 2011, and I still use it to this day. But the point I'm trying to get to is just have conversations with yourself on the daily. Get to know what's going on inside of you. But for real, I've noticed that I'm able to hear my thoughts a lot more clearly. Does that make sense? I'm able to be aware of what I'm thinking about on a more consistent basis. And I really like that. Because now when thoughts pop up and they're weird or strange or quote unquote negative, I can address it almost like right then and there when I have the thought, instead of it just kind of laying in my subconscious or my unconscious that I'm like unaware. And I'm not saying I'm literally aware of every single thought I have. Of course not. But I have a greater awareness of what goes on in my mind and what thoughts come up on a daily basis. So, and I like this because sometimes I'll be doing something or I'll be thinking about something, or I'll like be talking with myself about something, and a thought will pop up and I'll be able to address it. And I'm like, oh, I'll literally say like, oh, I hear you up there. Let's talk about that. That's what I'm saying is like, talk to yourself on a consistent basis. You don't have to talk out loud with yourself all the time, though I highly recommend it. It's just like having a conversation with a friend, kind of, but it's a conversation with yourself. I think it's really important. I don't think it makes you crazy at all. At least not entirely. You're not insane. It's fine. I'm talking to myself right now. No. But genuinely, get curious, be open about what's going on within you, within your head, what you're thinking about. I've found that having a better relationship with myself, it's funny to talk about that, my dude. It's just funny because it's just not something, maybe it's being more broadly talked about now. But like me growing up, I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s. So, at least in my little dysfunctional family, we weren't talking about, self-care and self-love. A lot of it was like selflessness. There was a lot of talk about selflessness in my household, of just if someone wrongs you, just in a religious sense as well. This is going to be a religious phrase, but turn the other cheek. I think that's in the Bible. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's literally just a phrase, but it's basically saying like if someone wrongs you, just kind of don't have a reaction to it, just turn the other cheek. And like I understand that it can have maybe a beneficial function to just kind of disregard, but at some point it's like, am I being just like taught to comply with all of the bad things that happen to me? So like if someone wrongs me, am I just being taught to suck it up and deal with it? And maybe that wasn't the intention, but given that it was a dysfunctional family, a dysfunctional household with a father figure who used religion for control and power, I could see that. Just turn the other cheek. And it was always about, I was taught a lot about giving. Taught a lot about you should always care for other people. You should always be considerate of other people, which again, that's a good lesson. It's a good value to have, consideration for other people. It's a very good value to have. But if that's like it, if you're not taught to also consider yourself, like it's just kind of funny to me that maybe it's more prevalent to be selfless, and it's more, at least when I was growing up, it's just more prevalent to think less of yourself and more of other people. And I love that I had that value instilled of being considerate and to give a shit about other people. I love it. But I also kind of wish a bit more self-love was instilled. Granted, I'm happy to be doing that now. And hi baby girl. Dorothy, my cat, she's laying on my lap. She decided to join us. Granted, I've been learning how to care for myself for some time now, and to develop a relationship with myself. But still saying that out loud, it sounds kind of funny. It's like a relationship with myself. It's kind of weird, but I've been having a lot of fun. I'm forming a relationship with yourself. You just learn more about you and like who you are, and going back to what I started this episode with is just like self-worth. Like what makes me happy? What makes me feel good? And those are questions that you can start with. I think they're really good questions to start with. And if it feels like, oh, I have no idea, I've been there where I'm asking myself, what do I even like anymore? I don't even know. Like, who am I? It's basically the who am I question. It's just like I've hit that point where I like, do I even like the things that I've liked my whole life? Like just a lot of questioning, and it was kind of unnerving, I'll be honest, to not know that to not know if my likes were still my likes, because it just felt like it felt so strange to be in a place where I didn't know myself very well anymore. To feel so far away from myself was very unnerving. And thinking about it now, it's like I didn't even realize at the time that that's what was happening. I didn't realize that I was far from myself. I didn't realize that I didn't know who I was. But when I started having those questions, when I got curious about like, what do I even like anymore? What even makes me happy? I don't even know if I feel good doing the things that I used to do. And I just started discovering myself again. And it'll probably happen again. I don't think it'll be as unnerving if I reach a point where it's like, oh, I don't know if I like my likes anymore. Because now that I've experienced it, I think if it happens again, it's like, oh, okay, well, we just need to dive a little deeper. We just need to do a little more self-discovery. And I don't know that the journey of, I know it sounds a little silly and I do sound a bit cliche, but I don't know that the journey of self-discovery ever ends. I think that's kind of the point. So just discover oneself and share that self with other people. To just be ourselves. I feel like that's all we want. I mean, there's a lot that we want, don't get me wrong, but I think at the end of the day, I think all of us just really want to be able to be ourselves. Because I mean, what's a life if you can't be you? What kind of life are you living if you just can't live it as you? So I'll leave you with this. I hope you learn more and more every day, no matter how small the little bits and pieces are that you are learning. That's okay. I hope you learn more about yourself, and I hope you discover more of what makes you happy and what makes you feel good. And I hope you're able to be a bit less concerned as time goes on with what other people think about you, because again, at the end of the day, the opinion about you that matters the most is the one you have about yourself. And I hope you discover just how beautiful and amazing you are. Because I don't even have to know you. It's just the craziest thing is like, I genuinely mean it. I don't even have to know you. I know what it is to be human, and I know what it feels like to not be accepted for who you are, and I don't have to know you to say that I accept you. Because it's really hard to explain, but I wouldn't want anyone to feel like who they are is not okay. So I will always accept people for who they are, regardless of whether or not I've even met you. I know, me even saying it out loud, I'm like, huh? It's my favorite thing in the world to get to know people, so I love getting to know people, but I don't have to get to know you to tell you just how amazing you are. I don't. You're fantastic, and you're beautiful, and you're wild, and maybe you're sad sometimes, and maybe sometimes you struggle to shower. Hey, me too, and that's okay, and it's all the human experience, and maybe you eat a little too much sometimes, and you get gassy and bloated, and like, okay, cool, and maybe you drink a little too much, and your head hurts a lot the next day, and maybe you're just a human being. And I think that makes you awesome. Thanks for tuning into episode 20. of the bedside table. Welcome back if you're returning, and welcome in. Thanks for being here. For everyone who's here, thank you. And just a quick little reminder, my email submissions are open. So again, tell me a story about love or friendship. I want to hear about it. And if you want to stay anonymous, please just let me know in the email. I don't have to say who you are at all. I just want to know what other people are experiencing. And hopefully you'll give me the chance to get to know you a little better. But yeah, and if you've got any questions about like love or friendship that you want me to dive into, heck, you know I love to talk. Again, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next week. Good night.